Mr. Salman Rushdie was stabbed 10 times on Friday morning while giving a speech in New York State. So who's Mr. Salman Rushdie and why is he so controversial? I'll be talking about this today and also try to highlight what is probably religious hypocrisy and why in many instances in our existence, religion was and has been used to justify many atrocities and perhaps maintain people in power. Salman Rushdie was stabbed several times, including his neck, punctured liver, his eye, and by the time of this commentary, he's still on a ventilator in a hospital. He'll probably lose his eye. For you to understand why he was attacked, we need to understand who Mr. Rushdie really is. Mr. Rushdie is an Indian-born British and American novelist. He has written several novels, including The Midnight Children, that won him a lot of accolades. His books have been praised as some of the best books that you could ever read. His writing style often combines magical realism with historic fiction and primarily deals with connections, disruption and migrations between Eastern and Western civilization set on the Indian subcontinent. It was his fourth book, The Satanic Verses, that brought him a lot of criticism. Some of the scenes in the 1988 novel depict the character modeled on Prophet Muhammad, and this was met with anger from members of the Muslim communities in the UK. They considered it blasphemous. Protests spread as far as Pakistan in January 1989, and the following month, the spiritual leader of the revolutionary Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, condemned the book and issued a fatwa against Mr. Rushdie. Now, for you who don't know, a fatwa is essentially a religious death threat or death sentence. Many riots erupted as a result of this book, of this ban. Bookstores were firebombed. Many people lost their lives. And to add to this, a bounty was offered for Mr. Salman Rushdie's death. The British government cut ties with the Iranian government as a result of this. It was until 1998 that these ties were re-established on the condition that the Iranian government stopped financing death squads geared at assassinating Mr. Rushdie. In 1998, the Iranian government distanced itself from this fatwa. However, the bounty for Mr. Rushdie's death stayed, and in fact it was increased to 3.3 million US dollars. The book Satanic Verses was and remains banned across the world, with countries with large Muslim communities taking center stage. These include Pakistan, Iran, India, South Africa, Sudan, Tanzania, Singapore, and Venezuela. Some of the translators of this book were attacked. For example, Mr. Hitoshi Igarashi, who translated this book into Japanese, was murdered in 1991. As a result, Mr. Rushdie adopted the alias and went into hiding under the protection of Scotland Yard, although he appeared in public occasionally despite the threats to his life. When on the BBC Radio 4, he was asked for a response to the threat, Mr. Rushdie said, "Frankly, I wish I had written a more critical book, and I'm very sad that it should have happened. It's not true that this book is a blasphemy against Islam. I doubt very much that Khomeini or anyone else in Iran has read the book or more than select extracts out of context." Later, he continued to write. In 1998, the Iranian government said it will no longer enforce the fatwa. However, the fatwa was never actually revoked, and the Satanic Verse book remains banned in Iran and a number of other Muslim countries. Rushdie wrote about his experiences in the third-person memoir, Joseph Anthony, in 2012. Speaking in the New York 3 years later, he said, "If you were afraid, if you are a free expressing organization, if you believe in the value of free speech and freedom of speech, then you must believe in the value of free speech that you don't like. If you only defend free speech that conforms to your own moral framework, that is what is called censorship." Mr. Rushdie was knighted in 2007 by the Queen for services to freedom of speech and literature. This too attracted criticism from Iran and Pakistan, the death threats continued until Friday morning when Hadi Mata, a Muslim fundamentalist, nearly carried them through, had it not been for the bravery of the people in the congregation. Now, talking about religious hypocrisy, it is very important to note that the bounty money, the reward for the assassination of Mr. Rushdie, was put in place, and you're going to laugh this, by the semi-official religious foundation in Iran. This is a religious organization that is keen to tell us how peaceful the religion of Islam is. It is the same people that believe in God to be the supreme judge. So, make that what you may.